Welcome everyone to Swan's Japanese Horror Reviews, the 50th installment, the best and worst of Japanese horror. It's been a long run, and I'm glad that we finally made it to this 50th episode, and I'm going to give my top 5 best Japanese horror films and the bottom 5 worst, as well as some other bonus awards that I'm going to throw out. But to start things off, I wanted to go over 3 very important movies for me that were key in getting me to really embrace the genre and really started me off on this whole J-horror craze, I suppose. So the first one was Ringu, The Ring. And I saw this in high school, this original Japanese version. I still have not seen the American remake, so I can't really comment on that. But I thought this was such a cool movie, and it was so creepy. And I remember that night after I watched it for the first time, I was scared of the TV. So that was really my first taste of Japanese horror, and that would later be amplified in Ju-on. Now, once I bought the Ju-on DVD, I knew I wanted to have a collection of these. Now, this one had a really interesting story. The gore factor was notched up slightly, but still nothing too bloody or violent. The third and final movie was Dark Water. And I thought this was really good at capturing how moody and atmospheric Japanese horror films can be when done right, and that you didn't really need gore and you didn't need blood. Ring, Ju-on, Dark Water, 3 great choices. So, without further ado, I think let's first start with the bottom 5 worst Japanese horror films. The first film in the bottom 5 worst Japanese horror films goes to Dead Waves. I just did a review of this not too long ago, and what I said then still holds true. This is an incredibly cliched film that tries to copy the greats. So the first 3 movies that I showed, well, this one tries ever so poorly to be like them, but it fails in every regard. So if you want to see something great, watch those first 3 films. If you want to see it done poorly, check out Dead Waves. Number 4 on the bottom 5 Japanese horror films goes to a movie called Synesthesia. See, I'm probably pronouncing it wrong. I know it's a real medical occurrence, but I can't pronounce the title, so I'm sorry. Anyways, this movie is completely incoherent. It just drags on. There are very strange video game-like parts, and the acting is pretty poor across the board in this one. Everyone's senses are about to be distorted. Number 3 on the bottom 5 Japanese horror films goes to Male. Now, Male is another one that I have not reviewed yet, and I bought this bad boy, I'm sorry to say, at Walmart for I think $5. And it's actually like a 6-episode series, and the main draw was that it had Chiaki Kuriyama, who many people know from her appearance in Kill Bill, but she's been in some other stuff as well. But dear God, this was awful. Some of the worst computer effects put to DVD are seen in some of these episodes. Number 2 in the bottom 5 worst Japanese horror films comes in the Kadokawa Japanese Horror Collection, and it's actually a movie called Shadow of the Wraith. Now, this is from the director of Man Behind the Scissors and Evil Dead Trap. Now, while Man Behind the Scissors wasn't exactly a masterpiece, Evil Dead Trap was a really fun movie. But this one was just awful. Imagine some of the worst acting possible in one of the goofiest stories ever, with, again, notice a pattern, horrible computer graphics, and you've got a pretty good idea of what Shadow of the Wraith is. There's nothing scary about this, except the fact that I paid money for it. Finally, what I consider to be the worst Japanese horror film of all time, that prestigious award goes to Kirei, The Terror of Beauty. That's right, I reviewed this one a long time ago. And if you don't remember, it's about this horrible surgery story where this woman is kind of stalking this beautiful surgeon, and it was just so unbelievable, and the acting was so bad, and the nudity was so forced, and everything just did not work for me in this one. So, if you want a complete waste of time and something that will make you feel creepy watching, and not in the good way, then Kirei, Terror of Beauty, you win the award for the worst Japanese horror film of all time. Oh, well, the box art's actually kind of nice, I'll give you that, but ugh, never again, never again. And now for some bonus awards before we get to the top 5 best Japanese horror films. The first bonus award is the best villain in a Japanese horror movie. And this award goes to Sadako of the Ring. Now, while lots of other American horror films, of course, have Freddy, Jason, Michael Myers, Sadako is the poster child for Japanese horror. And who can forget her amazing scene in the ring and just coming out in the eyeball and the hair, and amazing. The award for the goriest film goes to Tokyo Gore Police. So while my friends found this one to be really over the top, I really enjoyed it because this is so silly, and there are just buckets and buckets of blood just thrown everywhere. Body parts are going everywhere, blood is just oozing all over the screen. Tokyo Gore Police. If you like your Japanese horror bloody, you'll like this one. The award for the best appearance by Santa Claus goes to Present in the Kazuo Umezu Horror Theater Volume 3. Now this is another one that I would love to review someday, but it's Santa Claus and his weapon is the Star of David. You know you want to watch it. The award for the worst performance of all time goes to Billy Drago in Takashi Miike's Imprint. Anyone who's seen this, I'm sure, is already nodding their head and saying, oh god, what an awful performance. But yeah, poor Billy in this one just had some laugh out loud moments. And the award for what I think is the scariest film of all time goes to Audition. Now I know a lot of people are going to disagree with me here, but I just thought that the pacing of this movie was just perfect. And by the time you get to all of the madness that goes on in the latter half of this film, then it's just done so well. So Audition, for me, is the scariest film. It left the biggest imprint on my mind. So now it's time for my top 5 best Japanese horror films of all time. And number 5 goes to Sion Sono's Strange Circus. Now I know this one is a kind of hard film to watch because of the sexual subject matter, but it's so compelling, and for those that do stick with it, you're just treated to so many elaborate costumes and sets, and the story is so intricate. My number 4 best Japanese horror film goes to Vital. Now this is, I think, Shinya Tsukamoto's best work. This left the longest lasting impression on me. I really love this one. This is such a creepy love story, and it's just beautiful to watch. It's not really scary. This one's actually kind of a calming movie, but in a really eerie way. Number 3 goes to Takashi Shimizu, but not for Ju-on. For Marebito, this is, I think, his best work. This is so bizarre, and the way it's shot, and kind of like the digital camcorder, and just the strange story of a man who's losing it, and the woman that's with him in his apartment. Really, really well done. Number 2 on the top 5 best Japanese horror films goes to Rampo Noir. Now, Edogawa Rampo, one of my favorite authors, and while these films are not perfect adaptations of his short stories, they are certainly fun to watch. This one is just packed full of so many good scenes and so many different kinds of creepy or scary or bloody or just downright weird moments that I really recommend this. So now we've reached my number 1 Japanese horror film of all time, and what else could it be but Audition. I've already been talking about how much I love this movie, and this is either a love it or hate it kind of thing. People either put this on the pedestal as the king of Japanese horror and they say, yes, this is the one right here, or they say, I watched it and I didn't really like it, I thought it was really slow and boring, and yeah, the end wasn't really all that bad, and you know, whatever. For me, I knew absolutely almost nothing going into this. I knew that the end was going to be kind of shaky, and so I was watching it, you know, for the first time, and just like covering my eyes for the first time when I had to watch it. So there you go, that's 50 installments of these reviews. I hope you've enjoyed it. Thanks so much for watching over, it's almost been 2 years now, I think. I've really enjoyed making all of these, and who knows, you know, I'm hoping to do some more. It all depends on what time permits, but if no more reviews come, then at least we've made it to the 50 and we've got to this milestone episode, and I'm happy for all the subscribers and people watching and commenting, because wow, some of these videos have gotten quite popular, and I hope I've encouraged some of you to scope out some of these movies, both good and bad. And let's try and support the Region 1 companies if you're in the States to buy the DVDs and not just watch them online, because come on guys, if we want to see new ones, we've got to pay up. So, thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.